Hello, and welcome to another Dwarven Tavern video. This time, we are talking about
gender and sexuality in game.
And I am
someone
who has a gender and a preference. I'm Dr. Jeff Goins.
I am Lyric Owens.
And that is one of the things that actually sexual preference and gender identity is something that permeates, well, just about everything, because we all have a gender and a sexual preference. Even if it's no preference at all, it's still a preference. Like the Rush song, if you choose not to decide, you've still made a choice. So,
still a thing.
And here of late, it has been kind of a, I don't know, with all the stuff that's going out there in the real world that I'm still not completely convinced really exists. With all of the anti-gay thing and all of the church stuff that's just spilling over into everything, every aspect, we thought we would, have a say on that as far as gaming goes. So.
Well, I've actually studied this in college, so I have a great dabble of information in that particular field.
Well, it's part of your anthropological studies.
Yes.
So we talked about that in the last video about how we do the anthropology thing, and we're very interested in human behavior and spirituality and all that stuff.
So usually when it comes to gaming, a person makes their character as similar to them as possible. I think that's
or exactly the opposite.
Well, I'm saying that's kind of true for everybody, is that they have one or the other. They stick. Their first character is usually as identical as they possibly can get to their person, or it's usually something completely opposite. And
which is that in itself is an interesting fact.
Right.
People either do what's exactly them or what's exactly not.
Right. And
I find that fascinating.
In this instance, they never, okay, for example, if I were to play a character that was exactly like me, I would play a ranger. I would play a Dwarven ranger, and she would be lawful good, and she would be a family person. She would travel with her family. I'm saying she because she would be a she. If I were to play someone completely different, I would play Buduk. And he is a half-orc rogue who's a man, and he's very masculine, and that's the opposite of who I would play. So when it comes to other people, they wouldn't think to change the gender on top of that, because they don't know how to think in the mind of someone of the opposite gender. And this rang true with the more people I would play with. They would hardly ever play an opposite gender. And we had a man campaign. And I mean man campaign as in everybody in Lyric. And they, everyone was playing a dude. Everyone had a dude character. Except for, Sebastian. And he had, Lady Catherine. And our friends at the time, who they were very new to gaming, and they were actually starstruck, oh my god, you can play a female? Yes.
Yeah.
That's the whole glory of gaming, is that you can play absolutely anybody you want.
Yep.
And I think that's very important to remember.
It really is, because, it again, if we, haven't iterated it every single time, it's a game. It's a role-playing game. You can play a different role just depending on what you want to play.
Right.
For whatever reason, if you're gay and you want to play a straight guy or girl, do so.
Do it.
If you're straight and you want to play a gay person or creature, a squid that, how could you do gay squids? But, if you wanted to play something that was
a gay kraken, there you go.
A gay kraken? That's terrible.
He likes him some pirates. But the point is...
Now I'm not even going to say anything about the nautical term for sailors.
Just stop. Just stop. Just stop. Just stop. Okay. Backing it up. There's a freedom there when it comes to gaming.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's also important to keep in mind that the society and the culture of where your character is or who they're campaigning with is that they might find your gender and sexuality non-preferable. Mm-hmm. Like that could cause a whole campaign on its own, is that you're being run out of town for whom you fell in love with, or we have had some instances where we have had gay characters and they've certainly livened up the game, but that's only because we're working with stereotypes.
Right.
And that's something else that needs to be brought up, is
Certainly.
that stereotypes it's what we base our original ideals off of who these characters could be.
Right.
But they're usually discomforting when it comes to people of the actual mindset.
And it's a really interesting phenomenon, because when we play races that aren't here in this world, such as elves and
orcs and dwarves.
Tieflings or whatever. I don't like tieflings at all.
We don't talk about them.
But I always liked Cambions because they were half demon.
Isn't that what a tiefling is?
A tiefling is like, it started out as plain touched, like excuse me, the Aasimar or the Aasimar. They were, as tieflings were touched by demons, the Aasimar were touched by, I think it's Aasimar. I may be wrong. I don't think I am. But they were touched by angels or divas. But we can't really play a real one except for the things that have been written by authors of fiction.
Right.
And that's why we say, as we said in the last video, do your homework.
Right. Yes, that is the most important thing.
Because I would consider Tolkien an expert on Dwarven and Elven culture.
Yes.
Even though he made it up.
Right.
But he was a linguistic anthropologist, like Taverneer Lyric.
But he also completely deviated from the original mythology of dwarves and elves, because dwarves and elves of the mythology of I almost said the Netherlands. I'm trying
Norse.
Scandinavia. There we go. I almost said the Netherlands. It's just that particular part of Scandinavia. The original elves and dwarves of that area are nothing like the dwarves and elves of Tolkien.
Yeah, Dwarven Norse dwarves are they're just monsters. I mean, they can shape rocks and metal with their teeth, and they're horrid little creatures.
Right.
Whereas, as they have become known from primarily Tolkien, he kind of refined the whole thing, as we were talking about.
It's almost like he made the dwarves of that mythos the ancestors of the dwarves of Tolkien verse.
Right.
However, elves of Norse?
Nordic is fine.
Elves of... I'm not sure the proper terminology. Okay?
Elves of Nordland.
Elves of Nordic mythos compared to elves of... What?
Funny. I like Nordland. Nordland. Are you Nordlish? No, but I sneezed earlier. I might have something.
But
your nose.
my nose is itchy, okay? People are talking about me. That's a whatever. Anyway, comparing the two elves, Tolkien completely did something just different, and it was like they're derived from stars, while the original elves are they're almost like fae. They are fae, and they have gaping wounds in their back, and that's just a thing.
From when their wings were cut off.
I don't know. I'm not that sure about that part of the mythos, but that's completely different from gender.
Yeah, and it is. But I think the point is, bringing it back around, is that when you are playing a stereotype, sometimes that's all you have to go by. And I'm not suggesting that, if you want to play a gay character, that you go cruise, gay bars or whatever. And it's hard not to be insulting, because the gay people are every bit as much human beings. As to me, it's like either you're a jerk or you're not. It doesn't matter what your gender is, what your race is. There's no human races, by the way. There's only skin colors and phenotype traits. But it doesn't matter what your gender is, what your sexual preference is, what your religion is, what you're either a total jerk, you're either a dick, or you're not. And
dicks are dicks and bricks are bricks.
Absolutely, and everything else is inconsequential to interacting with me, as far as I've got my own set of ethics, morals, and personal preferences, just like every other human being on the planet. And everybody else has a right to their own. I neither wish nor choose to dictate what you should like or what you should not. I can only tell you what I like and not. And the getting around to, trying to play someone who is gay or someone who is not, if you are, or whatever, it's all about what you know about them, and doing your homework.
And that is the most important advice that we can give people, new gamers or experienced gamers who are trying something new, is do your homework. And if you're so worried about offending somebody, do your homework. And not to the point that you have to major it in college, but to the point that you have a good grasp of the situational choices that people both go through and that they have no choice over. So when it comes to playing a character of a different sexual preference, if you research that sexual preference, you also have to keep in mind that they are people too. And in that, they are all different. And I think there's a movie called Boys in the Band. It's like an 80s movie. And it's not the best example for the sexuality, but I have to say it's probably one of the best to show the differences in, I'm not gonna varying degrees of just there's oh my god, it's so hard to explain. I'll just give the example.
Okay.
There's one character who is he self-identifies as queen, and he uses different pronouns, and he calls everybody she, and it's just that is what people think of as a gay person, is they automatically consider them a drag queen of some sort. And then there's, on the other side of the scale, there's this guy who's in a relationship with another person in the movie, and a straight man comes in, and he's talking to this particular man who acts straight, passes as straight, and then they're like, oh my god, there's I don't want to say that. I don't want to quote the movie directly because it was very derogatory. He's like, oh my god, there's so many gay men in here. Come on, let's get out of here. It's like, I'm bisexual. I'm gay too. What do you think? Did you think I was straight? I'm sorry, but I'm not. And it's just, it's broaching the topic that it's not not everybody is who they appear to be.
Right. You don't have to be flaming.
Right. So your character, if you want a gay character, just make a character, and their sexuality preferences that they like the same sex.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a movement.
Or you can play something that is actually the opposite gender to you. or genderless. You play a doppelganger.
Oh, or an angel, or just a regular
Just
run of the mill asexual.
because
Run of the mill asexual.
run of the mill. That's as we're trying to escape our stereotypes. The point is, I believe, is that it's just a game. It's a role playing game. You have the ability to in your game, whether you are a player or a DM or whatever, you have the ability to express yourself, which I think is probably the single most important aspect of gaming, is being able to express yourself. And that doesn't mean that if you play something of the opposite gender that you're secretly gay and don't know it.
Right.
That
is such BS.
I have played female characters. I had a female paladin. I'm playing a female drow sorcerer. Yes, I said drow.
No, you said sorcerer.
Yes. Well, see, that's the thing. I don't like gender specific words. I like
the sorceron.
Actress, actor.
Well, it's actually now
It's
just
actor.
flat actor.
Yeah.
They got rid of actress.
Right. So why can't it just be a sorcerer? Why does it have to be a sorceress?
I'm just.
Is
throwing
she
it
a
out
duke or a duchess? But the point is that I'm not gay. It's
proven at least 4 times.
It's pretty common knowledge that I'm not. I don't have any problem. If I was, it's like. George Clooney. Somebody asked George Clooney if he's gay, and he said, "No, I'm not gay." And they were like, "Well, why aren't you mad about it?" And he said, "Because it's not a bad thing to be gay. I'm just not." And he's like, I have a lot of friends who are, and it's not a horrible thing. Like, I am not gay. That's so insulting. He's like, I'm not insulted. I'm just saying I'm not gay. So, and I thought that was a really cool response. And that's the way I feel.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of really, really good friends who were quite flaming, and I love them to pieces. They're like brothers. Actually, one of them passed away, but and their sexuality, their sexual preference doesn't even matter to me. It makes no difference to me whatsoever in anything. To any aspect of my relationship with them, because they're just cool guys.
And it shouldn't. That's how the mindset should be when it comes to playing with characters who have that different sexual preference. Because I play straight characters and I'm not straight, so that's not me trying to call out that I want to be gender normative, or sexually normative, and it's just trying to break the stereotype is to the point that it's like painful.
Yeah.
And I think that if you're scared of playing a character of a different gender or sexuality, don't be. And I think that if you just never thought of it, I think you should definitely try it, because that's a new gaming experience altogether.
Yeah.
And if your gaming group is all men, then maybe bringing a few female characters into it can just switch up the campaign a little bit.
Yeah, and it's not something that you have to worry about, like, will this make me gay? I mean,
right.
There's a lot of unwarranted fear, because your preference, being gay is it, or not, being straight for that matter, is a matter of preference. And, it's something that you can choose. It's something that you might have, chemistry inside you that chooses for you. Because there are some people that I've known a few people that didn't want to be, but were, whatever they were. But their chemical makeup required them to be the other thing that they didn't want to be.
Well, I think my favorite line is going back to that movie I mentioned earlier, Boys in the Band. I'm paraphrasing, but the line is that you're homosexual and you don't want to be. You may choose to live a heterosexual life, and you'll do it if you strive with the fervor that you. I'm ruining the line, but he was like, if you try. Basically, he was saying, if you try.
Paraphrase. You're good at that.
Paraphrase. If you are a specific sexuality and you don't want to be, you can try with all of your might to be the sexuality that you're not. You will succeed in fulfilling that lifestyle, but you will always be that specific sexuality. And that goes true for both being gay and straight, because you tell anybody who says that homosexuality is a choice, you tell them to be straight for a year, or tell them to be gay for a year, and see how that turns out, because it's not a choice.
Yeah. It's and it's a preference for a reason.
Off of my soapbox.
Off of the soapbox, because it's but in that same reality, it is no more. It's not infectious. Being straight or gay, it's not infectious. It's not something that you can catch from someone else. It's not a communicable disease. It's just a preference, and it's. I personally, I don't like activists in general, because they strike me as being in your face and obnoxious, and I don't like people getting in my face about their beliefs. Like I should follow their beliefs, because I don't like that. That's just my thing. So it's a matter of it's like whatever. I mean, it comes down to that, and to me, and it's a role playing game, and you shouldn't be afraid to explore your inner characters, because your characters are tiny little aspects of you, but they're not you. They're just characters. I mean, they might be an unfulfilled thing that you never got to do as a child, or it might be something you've never wanted to be.
You wanted to make it a concrete decision to not be that thing.
Yeah, and so it might just be something, but it's a role-playing game, and it gives you the opportunity to explore all of these different aspects of yourself and express your true desires. And I'm not saying like, you're a insert derogatory term here for whatever. But it's an opportunity for whomever, and this could be your players. If you're a dungeon master, your players may want to play. I mean, I had a friend who had an intelligent scimitar who was his name was Rusty the Gay Blade, and it was very much a flaming. It was a flaming sword, and it had a very homosexual drag queen personality, flaming, fabulous personality, and it was a flamboyant, but it was a sword. It had, swords by definition have no gender,
right.
But its personality was flaming dude. And it was great. It was great fun. Of course, at that point in time, we were a little less tolerant, and a lot of the references were derogatory because of the personality. But it was hilarious, and it was great fun because did you just parry with my edge? I can't believe you did that. It will take a month to hone that, but you may start at any time, And when he sharpened the blade, it would be like, oh, yes.
Stop. Just stop.
And because the player was very homophobic, and it was good.
You could say that was almost used as a quote unquote therapy sword to break that person out of their homophobic tendencies.
Yeah, which he ultimately did. He ultimately became a little more tolerant to that particular preference, but it was funny, and it was very entertaining.
So I think
It may not be the point that we were trying to make here about being tolerant, but it was good.
Well, I actually think that that's a good point to bring up, is that if there is someone that's homophobic and they do prefer the heteronormatives, then perhaps bringing someone who is not the heteronormative, someone who doesn't abide by the sexuality that they are assigned at birth due to their gender, that being that if they are female they like men, and if they are men they like females, and there's nothing else, then perhaps it's time to bring that up in game so that they can have experience with it, even if it's fiction. Because I would actually do that for a lot of people that I know, that if we were sitting down in a game together, I would probably roll up an asexual harpy who would, which I don't know what type of game that she would be in, but or perhaps I'm not sure quite what the terminology for this particular gay man is. Like you can go with super duper flaming for like the flamboyant gay man, but the one is the exact opposite, where he's just a gay man, and it's I'm not sure what those types are called, because there's lipstick and there's chapstick lesbians.
Yeah.
And then there's femme fatale and blah blah blah.
Right. Labels.
But if you wanted to do that, you could bring up a character who had that sexuality. It might never come up in game, but if it did, it was like, yeah, I'm gay. What of it? And then that would probably just blow that other character's mind.
Yeah.
So the advice that we can give you is, if you've never done it, if you've never had experience with it, then play it or introduce it into the game somehow. And I think that could be, even with NPCs.
Or at least be tolerant of it. Even if you don't want to explore it in game, be tolerant of it because of the number of gamers that come in that are actually not straight. I mean, it's just like there's a lot of cool people that you might be missing out on just because you're not real sure about their gender preference.
Yeah.
Or whatever, or their actual gender. I know quite a few people who, their gender is not super obvious, and that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's all about tolerance and the love of the game, and that comes. I think that comes before everything else. So try it all in game. You know what I'm talking about. Try it. Try whatever. And just have an open mind, because everybody's cool until they're not, and that's everybody. So I think that's the message of the day. So anything you want to add?
That's it.
Okay, so think about that one for a while, and leave us comments and and all that stuff, and subscribe and like and all that stuff, and remember to just keep an open mind. So on behalf of the entire cast and crew of the Dwarven Tavern, I am Dr. Jeff Goins.
I am Lyric Owens.
And we, and all the other Taverneers as well, wish for you to want for nothing but adventure. And at first I feared it.
Then I charged.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.